Welcome to our 24th Wonderspace journey that orbits around wonder and stories of hopefulness. This week our journey will take us down the west coast of America, over San Francisco, Costa Rica, and finishing over La Paz in Bolivia. And to experience these views with us in this ultimate window seat, we welcome Dave Erasmus, who is a digital entrepreneur, business coach and public speaker. He spends part of the year off-grid in the woods and the other part in the modern world, developing concepts around technology, ecology and their relationship to the human experience. The full-length interview with Dave can be found on the Wonderspace Podcast, which you can find on the Wonderspace website and on most podcast platforms. But for this shortened video orbit, Dave answers 3 of our 6 questions and starts by giving us a short glimpse into his life story so far.
So a glimpse into my story so far is after being born in South Africa and whisked back to Wales to be with family, I found myself in Surrey at about 4 and lived there in a pretty stable community until now. But, when I was about 16, 17, 2 things kind of broke loose in my life. One was adventure, driving and traveling with friends in minibuses and trains all around the world, driving to Africa, train to China, sort of exploring the world and realizing how you can do that together. But also the internet broke loose and I started buying and selling stuff on eBay. And then I found Google and advertising on Google and built a company with all my friends till from 19 to 21. We had 20 of us all working together, having a great time. Then I got a chance to sell that company. I built a log cabin in the back of my garden and kept life very simple and got to explore broader themes. What work is worth doing. I'd managed to pay off the mortgage and, I would just look like a dick to my friends if I bought fast cars or anything like that. So there's no incentive to do that. So you're thinking, well, okay, what kind of work should I bother doing then if I don't? And what's the potential of this internet? If it's that powerful that it can make loads of people loads of money, what else can it do? So that led us to a project called Givey. A friend had an idea. What if we could get everyone to just give one? And I realized the technology wasn't quite there. So we tried to build that technology and working with PayPal and a few other significant partners. We ended up writing white papers, trying to influence the government. And we did TED Talks and all sorts of things, trying to build the value proposition for giving, trying to help people understand why has this behavior called giving stood the test of time and why do we need it in this generation as much as any other. And that was a wild journey looking into the science of behavior economics and macroeconomics and the neurochemistry of giving and why it's so potent as things like sex and chocolate and really has a powerful role to play in our lives. And then by the time I got to about 29, I was in San Francisco trying to scale that company with Salesforce, and my investors didn't get it. And they ended up sort of they wanted a new CEO, a new leader for that business. And so that was the end of my path, really. And that's when I went to the rainforest for some soul-searching inspiration, to sort of like cry on top of a mountain, screaming out at God, saying, "What do you want from me?" And that led to a new adventure, really, of setting up in a forest in Sussex, about an hour from my parents, with no plan, no agenda, nothing to do. I really wasn't sure what was going to happen, but I bought a shepherd's hut on eBay and wheeled it in to 25 acres and just began to sit there and just see who came and see what I would learn. And it was an amazing, amazing year-long experiment that opened my eyes to a whole new way of being with the world, with the environment, with each other. Found a deeper sense of beauty, deeper sense of friendship, a deeper sense of creativity, as you can tell, the common theme here is just deeper. The sort of the doing of life stopped, so the broadness and the busyness stopped, but the beingness of life kind of developed and deepened my reservoir, if you like. And I've just been following that rabbit hole ever since. 4 or 5 years in now, we're just rolling together as friends all over this global village, trying to bring authenticity in the face of uncertainty and figuring out how with that we can adapt well to the world that we find ourselves in. And that's taking a whole load of different forms, if you like, in each of our lives, in different ways. My story of hopefulness for the world comes from a chap called Alistair, who I had my first Zoom call with this morning. And he Instagrammed me last week saying that he started an idea called tastybakes.com. And I spoke to him today, and he explained that in COVID, him and his wife had both lost their jobs and their livelihoods are probably not coming back anytime soon. And they've had a passion for baking. And they started baking some goods and selling them on the front of outside their house, and started having conversations with their neighbours and started really enjoying that. And now they're creating a website to try and help connect neighbourhoods together, getting old grannies who are isolated from their family to be able to make cakes for people down their road, and to sort of really service that kind of local neighbourhood community. And it would be easy for me to think of a story where there's pain and tragedy and fighting involved and grit, and there are lots of very, very worthy justice causes. But today I was excited by the hopefulness of somebody creating something out of passion that really they are loving. They're just loving it, and everyone's loving it, and it's bringing joy and celebration in the nature of the cakes, and it's including people and getting them to think more creatively about how to get out of the slump they're in with COVID. And I just thought, yeah, that's awesome. That is hopeful. The insight I'd really love to share is such a basic one, which is that I really believe that we do have enough time. And I think that if you believe you truly have enough time, it changes everything about how you go about your day. And the futures we want to build for ourselves and for our families and for our communities and societies are all based off interactions, small moments where we connect in various different ways with each other, with systems. And if we ultimately think that we don't have enough time and we're operating out of a lack and a rush and a doingness, we can miss every single one of those moments that goes into building our collective futures and lives together. And so I think just taking a moment to pause and accept that there is enough time, I have agency, I have choice, I can decide what to do with my day, helps you approach each moment in a very different way, or at least that's how I've found it to be since coming back out of my time in retreat. And that's what I want to leave you with.
More information about the work of Dave can be found at daveerasmus.com. Most weeks Dave is also producing content for his YouTube channel, which is also worth exploring. To join the Wonderspace community and share your own wonders and stories of hopefulness, or to listen to the previous 23 interviews, the website is ourwonder.space. I want to thank Dave for joining us on this Wonderspace, and I hope you can join us again next week for more wonders and stories of hopefulness.